must be too real to touch. You'll never in your life try to knock the truth. The illest shit ever. Get ready, 'cause this is about to get heavy.
Trying to keep me out, trying to censor what I say, 'cause they don't like what I'm talking about. So it's wrong with the media today.
Prove I'm lying if I ain't correct.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I just watched Showtime, back with my post-fight. You know how I do it. I give you guys that real, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Carl Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz. Before I get started, I have to say salute to both warriors. They put on a spectacle. Absolutely, it was exciting from bell to bell. It was an exciting fight, and there were no real losers, not to sound cliche. Next, like I've been saying on my channel, PBC is killing the competition, right? They have fights like this on their premium network, which is Showtime. They had a war on regular TV with Thurman Porter, and we just seen Adonis Stevenson. I thought that was a good fight with Thomas Williams Jr. People keep saying Al Heyman is the cancer of boxing. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that on this video because I want to get my post-fight thoughts. But I mean, what are boxing fans watching last night and tonight, Friday and Saturday? Now, the fight was excellent. I really enjoyed it. It was a good, very good mesh of styles. I'm going to do my best. I have to say this. Fights like this, a lot of times I don't score it because you only get a minute between the rounds. I'm doing my live round by round tweeting on Twitter, so you guys can see those like in real time if you guys follow me at BOXINGEGO. So it's just too hard to do all that plus score it. So I try to give you my thoughts. I do think the right man won. Carl Frampton won via majority decision, which was fair. The only thing I would say let me just break down the fight first, and I'll break down the bad. So the good was both fighters, I don't think either of them lose stock in a fight like this. This fight was very reminiscent to Porter Thurman, which also happened at the Barclays, which was also on PBC. The reason I say is because it's a great clash of styles, and depending on what you like, some people would have scored a certain round for a certain person. But for me, the reason why, like I said in the beginning of this video, why I think it was just that Carl Frampton won is because he was the more effective. And that is probably the key word. Leo Santa Cruz, don't get me wrong, this was a competitive fight. This was a fun fight. By no way am I suggesting that this is a landslide. Like it's not like Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo or something where it just dominate, right? It was a competitive fight. And it's unfortunate because I just can't talk to too many people when it comes to boxing. A lot of people have tribalism, racism, pride, and they're too emotional when it comes to this. And they actually take away from great events like this to, oh, robbery. Fights like these aren't robberies. Fights where a person got their ass whooped and won, that's a robbery to me. This was a close and competitive fight. Now, you could argue that the scorecard was too wide. I would agree with that. I think the scorecard should have been closer than maybe one of the judges had it, but the right man won. So for me, I care more about the right fighter winning than what the scorecard was. I mean, it's a black eye in the sport, like Canelo versus Lara. I don't think the right man won. Plus, 117 to 111 was ridiculous for Canelo, right? Even in the Mayweather-Canelo, CJ Ross scored that for Canelo. But at least Floyd Mayweather, the right person, won versus Canelo. CJ Ross said it was a draw. So these scorecards, I think the right person won. Whether they had it closer or not, the right man won, which was Carl Frampton. The reason I believe he won is because he was the better boxer, and he used his ring generalship, he used his slickness and more technique in his game plan and his approach. Round one was a very fun round. Round two, let's start there. Round one was solid, but round two is where it really got on and cracking, where the water started to boil. Good action from both, and I thought the action in round two was pretty even. But towards the end, in the last stanza, the last minute or so of round two, Carl Frampton caught Leo Santa Cruz, and when he tried to take a step back, his legs buckled and he fell into the ropes. Sometimes when the ropes hold you up, I have to watch a replay, but sometimes when that happens, they consider that a knockdown because the only thing holding your balance is the ropes. So I'd have to watch it to see if that's technically what happened, but from first viewing, only watching it once, it looked like he staggered into the ropes and he was clearly hurt. The dudes were throwing, right? So I thought he looked very sharp. He's clearly the better boxer and more technical, Carl Frampton is. And in round three, he landed a nasty uppercut, right? I think the biggest problem, so let me start with some of the bad. Leo Santa Cruz he fought well for his style, but the things he needs to work on, which is why I told people that Guillermo Rigondeaux, I knew this before, but after watching this, I really believe that Rigondeaux would toy and probably destroy a guy like Leo Santa Cruz. Not that he's not tough, not that he's not game, but I think Carl Frampton did very well, did good, but Rigondeaux is just another level because his defense is probably higher, his footwork, his ring IQ and generalship, he's just more overall elusive. And those are all things that aided Carl Frampton in his way to victory. Plus, I think in terms of athleticism, speed, and precision, I think Rigondeaux is rated higher in terms of, like, I would say his speed is faster than Carl Frampton. So he's a southpaw. These things are why I feel Rigondeaux would destroy him. In a lot of what Rigondeaux does, Carl Frampton did some similar tactics. So back to this fight, I thought overall the biggest things that Leo Santa Cruz was doing wrong was he negated his whole height. He was leaning forward, and that's his style. He was leaning forward, but it's different when you're in there with somebody who is technical and who's countering you like that. I thought Carl Frampton, one of the things he was doing excellent was he was just setting Leo Santa Cruz up with the 1-2, just bow, and then he would move and shift and step to the side. And Leo Santa Cruz, being tough and having heart, this is why it reminded me of Porter Thurman, because he kept pushing forward through all of that. He got hurt in round 2, I think it was, that I just said, and he still pushes through it. That's why it makes fights like this harder to score, because at the end of the day, you see someone who's still coming forward. But if you watch boxing, if you study boxing, the reason I gave it to Carl Frampton was because, just like Keith Thurman, he was more effective, he was more efficient with everything he was doing. His defense, his ring generalship, at the end of the rounds, a lot of them, not saying everyone, because I did give Leo Santa Cruz some rounds in my mind. I thought Leo Santa Cruz did, off the top of my head, good in round 6. He did really good in round 11. Round 12, he started off good, but then I think Carl Frampton kind of took it towards the end. So he did have some good rounds in there, but he wasn't using his height, wasn't using his jab, and you could clearly see that Frampton was the better boxer. He was more efficient, and he just kept throwing combos and then getting out the way. He was more elusive, more cat-like than Leo Santa Cruz, who was just constantly coming forward, plowing forward. And for some guys with a lesser skill level, that will work, because Leo Santa Cruz, he has a big frame, he throws 100+ punches around, and the battle of attrition, some guys don't have the stamina and the conditioning to do that. But knowing that Carl Frampton, you look at him, he's stocky, he looks pretty diesel for the weight class, and he's slippery, and he's like a fluid boxer. Like, a lot of people look at this, you notice some of the fighters like Carl Frampton and Lomachenko, people might get mad at this, but their style mimics an African American style, like Bob Arum was saying, more so than it does some of the other fighters out of Europe or other fighters. You know what I mean? That rhythmic movement, the slickness, upper body movement, even Canelo, he has that. You know what I mean? And when you have that in your arsenal, it becomes a problem for someone who's plotting forward. Look at Canelo versus Angulo. Angulo has kind of one mode, right? One mode. Canelo is he can move better, just in general. Upper body, his feet aren't that fast, but upper body he can move better. So I think that's what won it for Carl Frampton, is he was landing the more eye-catching shots, and he was like sidestepping Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz, being tough and having heart, was plowing forward, and he won some rounds. But I think Carl Frampton just overall was more efficient. His accuracy, his precision, slickness, very clean work with the 1-2, and that's what it reminds me of the Thurman Porter, where Porter was a little bit more reckless and just like jumping and lunging forward and stuff like that. Keith Thurman was the boxer puncher, and I think that's what Carl Frampton was. Very tricky movement by Carl Frampton, and you got to realize who you're in there with and make adjustments. The way Abner Mares fought, which surprised me, and the way Leo Santa Cruz fought when he fought him, he was more of the boxer. And I think, given the style of Carl Frampton, that's who he should have been. That should have been his identity. Leo Santa Cruz is a hell of a body puncher, but he was ripping body shots. But to me, a guy moving up in weight who's shorter than you, with you have those long arms like that, that should have been a major target consistently. Chop him down, this stocky dude, and that will get him to slow down with the movement and the tricky work, because it looked like Frampton was in good conditioning. He says he makes the weight good, and making the former weight class was harder for him, getting harder and harder. So that's how you slow down somebody like that. You break them down mentally and psychologically. And I think Leo Santa Cruz was trying to employ that strategy by walking him down, but he was being made to pay in a lot of the sequences for just kind of walking him down. So I think Leo Santa Cruz should have fought taller, used a consistent jab, used his vicious body attack, and it would have been a little bit different. Now, there are some rounds were close. I thought round 6 was good, and then Leo Santa Cruz started stealing the tempo of the fight in that round. But then I think Carl Frampton in round 7, 8, or 9, one of those, came back strong and got back to his game plan, landed a lot of effective fight shots. So I gave it to Frampton. I thought Carl Frampton he just looked better out there. He looked more in control of what he wanted to do. Leo Santa Cruz had more of a tough man contest style of fight where it was like battle of attrition. The rounds were competitive though, really competitive, but I think Leo Santa Cruz lack of accuracy, like I haven't seen many people make him look that inaccurate, I guess you could say. Like normally he's ripping to the body, he's doing what he wants with that frame and stuff like that, but given a guy with the trickier upper body movement and footwork, it didn't look the same. He didn't look as accurate in the fight. Round 10 I gave to Santa Cruz also. I don't think it was by a landslide. I thought Frampton was competitive in there, but I like Leo's activity, and I thought he had a higher activity throughout more of the round, so I gave that round to him. I said one thing for Frampton that he should have did. I think he already proved the boxing prowess. I think he should have switched gears a little bit more instead of playing sole counterpuncher and try to walk Leo Santa Cruz down, the taller fighter. He would have really had him in trouble if he was able to successfully do that. If he started walking him down and forcing Leo Santa Cruz to fight off the back foot, because every time that Leo Santa Cruz, he has heart, you know what I mean? He's tough. So him moving forward, some judges will score it, but I pay attention to boxing, and if somebody's throwing 8 or 9 punches and a lot of them are just hitting air and like missing, then you can't give it. If that was the case, then I would say Canelo beat Mayweather, you know what I mean? Because he was throwing some bombs, but they weren't connecting. And I'm not taking away saying Leo Santa Cruz didn't connect anything, but when he was throwing, like you look at the stats, Leo Santa Cruz threw more punches. He threw 1,002 punches, but he only landed 255 of those. So he threw almost 300 plus more, 400 plus more. Carl Frampton threw only 668, but they were more precise. He has like 11% higher connect total, you know what I mean, 36%. So that was pretty much what won him the fight. I can't score it for Leo Santa Cruz because he's getting busy and he's trying to push for the fight, and you got to land the fucking punches, you know what I mean? That's really what it boils down to. So very competitive fight, close fight. No one's stock goes down. Leo Santa Cruz does have a blemish. Good sportsmanship, I did like that. At the fight, before round 12 was to commence, after the fight, Carl Frampton said that Leo Santa Cruz was a warrior. He'd like to bring him to Belfast, possibly have a rematch there. And Leo Santa Cruz obliged, said, I'll go to Belfast, I'll go whatever. So I like that attitude from Leo Santa Cruz. Carl Frampton also said a potential opponent would be maybe a Lee Selby unifying. So there's Gary Russell Jr. Well, actually, Gary Russell's in his... Gary Russell's at featherweight, I believe, too. So, I don't know, but it was a good fight. Shout out to PBC, shout out to Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton. They did put on the show, but anyone screaming robbery, I want to hear what you guys have to say in terms of why it was a robbery. Overall, without emotion, without pride, Carl Frampton, better boxer. He did the better work. He controlled the tempo, but he also went to war. So you can't say like, oh, he ran or anything like that, because he was warring with Leo Santa Cruz also. And another mistake Santa Cruz made was he has long arms, and he was fighting in the phone booth, and he's fighting against the style of Frampton with that cock diesel type of compact frame. It's gonna take his punches, they're shorter. He shortened up his punches. His arms are shorter, so to get from point A to point B, it's easier for Frampton. Where Leo Santa Cruz with that lengthier frame, longer arms, longer reach, and those kind of things, he needs a little bit of distance against that style fighter. Maybe not against someone who's not the same skill level of Carl Frampton, but against Frampton, I thought he should have used more of the boxer approach that he took with Abner Modest, and it would have been a lot better for him, and he would have clearly won some more rounds than what I would have given him. But overall, great fight. Showtime. It was the best fight on the card. I did watch the other fights, the Tevin Farmer, Paulie Malignaggi. Clearly, this one to me was the best from bell to bell, and I wouldn't mind a rematch. I don't think it was a draw. I think both guys did good work. Both guys had a good showing, but the more effective person throughout the fight, even though he lost rounds, it was Carl Frampton. And you have to keep in mind too, this is his first fight in the new weight division, right? And he did all that. So very good performance by both. I just gave it to the person who was more complete in there. Drop it in the comment section. Let me know what you guys thought. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.